In 1983, a 20-year-old Tom Cruise danced his way into Hollywood history. Risky Business is one of the most overlooked masterpieces from the 80s. Although it may seem like one, this is not your typical teenage comedy. Beneath the surface of Lake Michigan lies a dark, prophetic film about neoliberalism and moral corruption. And yeah, the resemblance between the Challengers and Risky Business poster is quite obvious. The story follows Joel Goodson, played by Tom Cruise, son of upper-class parents who leave for a vacation in Paris. Joel is left with a spacious, luxurious house, and that's Porsche 928. What could possibly go wrong? You know, when people think of teenage comedies, it's usually John Hughes' The Breakfast Club or Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but Risky Business doesn't seem to have the same lasting cultural impact. Maybe it's because in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, main concern is that parents will find out that you skipped school, and in Risky Business, it is about whether or not they'll find out that you turned their house into a one-night brothel and grossed over $25,000 inflation adjusted. For a 1983 film, I was astonished how ahead of its time this film was. Risky Business foreshadowed the rise of entrepreneur hustle culture, which later became central to influencers. This film also accurately predicted red pill communities, to which we'll get a little bit later. Now, although it doesn't straightforwardly condemn capitalism, it portrays this world where taking morally and financially questionable shortcuts leads to prosperity, while playing by the rules can leave you behind. And this is best encapsulated in this one particular scene where Joel meets a young teenager named Stan. Stan is visibly frustrated after his girlfriend cheated on him despite paying $60 for their date, calculated to $230 in today's dollar value. Pretty expensive day, right? So there comes Joel, who offers Stan a sexual service as a solution, almost like he's doing him a favor. But in reality, Joel's main motivation is personal financial gain. He perceives Stan more as a customer rather than a friend. Looking at today's world, red pill influencers resonate with men like Stan, who feel disillusioned by modern dating. While some of their concerns about power dynamics in relationships are accurate, these communities also capitalize on male frustration for their own financial gain. This way, Stan's problem never gets fully solved, and you see, that's the objective. If all men could easily find a girlfriend and lose virginity, there would be no customers and financial gain for guys like Joel. Right now, the question that remains is, how does Joel Goodson go from an awkward teen to a full-blown pimp? Introducing Lana, a call girl played by Rebecca De Mornay. She's presented in this star-making moment, followed by cold wind-blowing leaves inside Joel's innocent nature. Lana has no last name or backstory. She's a definition of human fulfillment, on which Joel's been so patiently waiting for. Lana embodies commerce and seduction, introducing Joel not just to sex, but to transactional world of adult responsibilities. In order to convince him to turn his house into a brothel, Lana illustrates a fundamental selling point when she apparently accidentally causes Joel's Porsche 928 to fall into the dark waters of Lake Michigan. You see, Lana was aware that until a need is recognized, she won't be able to convince Joel to turn his house into a brothel. But now, once Joel so desperately needs that money to repair his father's Porsche, Lana's morally questionable proposition suddenly becomes the only visible solution for him.
Pretty good, huh?
This dynamic echoes modern subscription services like OnlyFans, where desperation often fuels commerce. Lana's character was a warning for women who use the power of sex to manipulate men. You know, nowadays, this film wouldn't even reach the theater before being cancelled for being politically incorrect. Why, you ask? Well, let's just say that 80s was a decade where you would casually sweep through a magazine and find an ad for a refrigerator, right next to an ad for prostitutes. The most un-PC sequence in this film is when Joel's friend Miles, who gets him into trouble in the first place, calls this call girl named Jackie, but without Joel's permission. Jackie eventually arrives at the doorway, and when Joel opens the door, he sees a black trans sex worker waiting for her to let her in. And now, interestingly, for a 1983 film, Risky Business approaches such controversial theme with a respectable manner and sensitivity, unlike majority of 80s teenage comedies.
Oh, those guys are fags! That's fantastic.
Risky Business is sleek and mature. Joel and Jackie solve their problem in a pleasant, friendly conversation without the inclusion of any offensive commentary. Risky Business has a very immersive visual style that makes you feel you're experiencing everything alongside Joel. Parents' first sequence was shot entirely from Joel's perspective. His mom and dad are breaking the fourth wall by looking directly into the camera, almost like they're addressing us about the responsibility of watching the house. This just further puts us in a position of Joel, a wealthy suburban teenager. If you pay closer attention to the brilliant cinematography, it looks like something from neo-noir thriller. The use of low-key lighting, shadows, composition, telephoto lenses that isolate characters from the background. You will never see this kind of visual style in The Breakfast Club or American Pie. Dreamlike cinematography is additionally enhanced by the hypnotic score by a fabulous German group called Tangerine Dream. Tangerine Dream scored William Friedkin's Sorcerer, Michael Mann's Thief, and partly a very well-known video game, GTA 5. Entire film is packed with an awesome cast, giving us some pretty good performances. Rebecca De Mornay plays Lana, and I don't know why she didn't become a bigger star following this film's release. I loved her performance. She really brought the character of Lana to life and made me think that a person like this can really exist in this world. Tom and Rebecca's chemistry also felt very believable, which isn't a coincidence considering they were dating in real life at the time. Curtis Armstrong plays Miles, Joel's friend who got him into trouble in the first place, with one of the most popular quotes from the 1980s cinema: "Sometimes you gotta say, what the f***." Look, I know I wore the suit incorrectly around the neck area, but it was after I recorded the video that I realized that. Sometimes you gotta say, what the f***. And Joe Pantoliano plays Lana's pimp Guido. No wonder why he was such a good earner for Tony Soprano. Director-writer Paul Brickman originally wanted to go with a darker and more ambiguous ending that would have reflected film's themes of capitalism, corruption, and loss of innocence. It would have left us questioning whether Joel truly outsmarted the system or was just another wheel for the capitalist machinery, just like Lana. However, Studio Warner Brothers insisted on a more upbeat ending that would ensure audiences left the theater feeling satisfied rather than anxious. The final result was a compromise between Brickman and Warner Brothers, and Brickman hated it so much that he did not direct another film until the year 1990. Brickman's original script included a deeper exploration of Lana and Joel's relationship. Lana was portrayed as far more manipulative character who prioritizes transactional nature over her emotional relationship with Joel. It is still debated whether she accidentally or on purpose rolled Joel's Porsche into Lake Michigan, but after I read this early draft of the script, I'm convinced it was intentional. However, not really for the selfish reasons, but more for the mutual benefits. After all, she is under the control of her violent pimp Guido, who literally threatened her with a gun, so her actions are more about survival than pure manipulation. According to this third draft of the script, we would have witnessed Lana becoming fully consumed by capitalism and stripped away her feelings. At a brothel party, she even offered her sexual service to this guy named Michael. Joel couldn't believe what he heard at first and explained her that he thought she was his girlfriend, but in Lana's world, romantic girlfriend hardly exists. Despite all the rewrites in the script, Risky Business was a huge commercial success. The film cost just $6 million to shoot, but grossed $63 million, becoming the 11th highest grossing film of 1983. I mean, even Ray-Bans profited. Wayfair was struggling with sales, selling 18,000 pairs in 1981. But after Tom Cruise wore them, sales skyrocketed to 360,000 pairs. So overall, guys, Risky Business endures because it captures a timeless truth. Capitalism, with its relentless power for profit, forces individuals to commodify themselves, often at a great personal cost. In today's age, where followers and likes on social media have become the new currency, the film's message feels more urgent than ever. It challenges us to ask ourselves, are we really living our lives authentically, or we're just another product in a marketplace? Risky Business is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's why I'm gonna give it an A-. Thank you guys for watching this video. Stay tuned for more film reviews and analysis each week on Monday. And sometimes gotta say, what the fuck?